Hey everyone, with Adam McGregor from MDH Lending.
G'day, Adam here.
I thought we'd just do a bit of an introduction to Adam and also MDH Lending as part of the MDH or referral to MDH accounting clients. So a bit of background from myself. The purpose behind MDH Lending was pretty much during COVID, where I felt small business owners were largely neglected by the banks, and small business owners, small businesses in general have got unique scenarios, and just got neglected. So I sort of got into gear and sort of got a license through a licensee for MDH Lending. And then Adam to come on board. So maybe a bit of background about yourself, Adam.
Yeah, I guess a little bit of background about myself. Thanks, Michael. I guess come from a small business background myself. Worked with Michael for a few years on a couple of different projects. Main background is in sort of sales and medical sales, but also play a little bit in the car sales industry. Have a small car dealership on the side. But I guess the reason why I decided to get into lending was very similar to Michael. My own personal experience in trying to get finance as a small business owner. I ran into quite a few roadblocks, and I thought can't be that difficult here. From a serviceability standpoint, as a small business owner, surely we should be able to be a better looking customer for the bank. So from speaking to Michael and speaking to a couple of different brokers around town and a couple of different bankers, everyone had the same message. Essentially, small business was too difficult for them. Trying to understand the financial statements from a business. I mean, everyone can read a pay slip, but trying to understand a profit and loss, that skill gap was there within the banking sector. And as a result, the service level for small business owners just wasn't there in the community as a whole. And we thought, okay, there's got to be a way that we can solve this. So that's when me and Michael decided to put our heads together and come up with a service offering under MDH Lending to sort of tailor towards the small business clientele to solve that problem and all things finance for those owners. So it's sort of like a wide range that we've decided to niche into. So I guess the bread and butter is obviously home loan finance for small business owners. But we also have a couple of other ones around like investment properties, investment finance, small business finance for cash flow, along with some asset stuff.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, Adam, reading a BAS statement or a profit and loss statement is not a broad skill set known in the banking industry. So the point of difference for MDH Lending is yourself with your small business background, linkages to myself and other MDH accounting staff, can navigate through the banking sector through as a broker to either identify the best lender who would understand that scenario, or assist the final financier, their credit team, understand how to interpret that profit and loss statement. And you mentioned, I suppose, serviceability, so sort of finance 101, so to speak. Two criteria the bank use is equity, effectively, or loan to value ratios. So if you're buying a house for $500,000, they'll lend up to 80-90% of that value. That's sort of an equity example. And then serviceability. So serviceability in small business areas is a bit more harder to calculate, rather than 100%. If you're a PAYG, salary and wage earner, the banks or the broker will ask for 3 pay slips, something like that, and that then they do their calculations to work out whether you can service that debt. And in small business, it can be a bit more complicated, both in terms of what I suppose some examples of what you've experienced, Sam. So
one really good example is just people that have got a lot of balls in the air and trying to interpret that down to a figure and the way that you can present that to the bank that it's going to be successful. So when I say that, a good example is a client recently has a myriad of different positions. So he's works within the care industry, some PAYG, some sole trader income. There's also some government benefits involved, along with investment property income. So overall, from a serviceability standpoint, for what he was looking for, he ticked that box very, very comfortably. But if you purely considered his PAYG income, it wouldn't have gone near it. So essentially, my job in that role is to essentially play an interpreter between the customer and the bank to work out, all right, what's the best way to present this set of information from a serviceability standpoint to show that it's accurate in what he's actually making and to show that he can quite comfortably service that loan. That one was just approved. Another good example is when you're talking tax debt within business. A client had a personal situation where he had to take a step back from the business for a couple of years, and as a result accumulated a tax debt of somewhere around about $250,000. So what we were able to do with him was work with a couple of different lenders and find him a commercial loan to be able to consolidate that tax debt down, along with do some non-structural housing renovations around the house for him, and do that in a way that it was interest only, that it was a sizable chunk, and he was able to achieve what he wanted to achieve as well as get the tax man off his back. So it's really about looking at the goals of the client and then looking at their situation and just working out the best way on how to interpret that to the bank in the most honest way, so you can really represent their position correctly, and B, to be successful and allow them to go on with what they're trying to do and not worry about the finance side of things all that much.
Your use of the term interpreter, I thought was a good one. And it's not to say, a lot of business owners know where they're at, but anecdotally and in practical terms, the knowledge base within the banking sector, generally speaking, on small business is very minimal. So as you say, to reinterpret a set of figures and to present it in the context of how that bank would be assessing that is a really important point, and pretty much the whole DNA of MDH Lending and their backgrounds and the combined skills and knowledge that we can bring to the table to facilitate that for small business owners. I've been working for myself for nearly 20 years, and I keep waiting for the day that small business owners are recognised for the value and the masters of their own destiny to some extent in terms of being able to 100% variable revenue, so to speak. Unfortunately the credit teams within a lot of the banks have a different view and want to pull it apart and reinterpret stuff. So Adam and what we do at MDH Lending is a really important role for small business owners in my view, and we'd be happy for Adam to be in contact with our clients to talk through different scenarios. And as he said, it can be just more the traditional business finance for cash flow purposes, buying a business property, right the way through to I've seen small business owners just wanting to say refinance their home mortgage and rocking out with a dividend stream or a trust distribution is a lot different to 3 pay slips. So
100%. From a personal standpoint there, I refinanced my property 2.5 years ago before I got into the broking game, actually through MDH Lending as well. One of our other brokers, Ken, he's only got about 30 years of experience, which is handy to have up the sleeve. But I found it harder to get a loan the second time around, refinancing a property that I already owned, earning near on double what I was earning PAYG. And that was what was scratching my head and really went, all right, there's something wrong here. Something doesn't make sense.
Good personal experience, Adam. So jump on the website, and also Adam's here and available for all of our clients in small business land, and to have a chat about what Adam might be able to assist with. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.